I actually bought it off an old person for way more than it's worth.
So, Dune, am I right?
Ayo, it was sick. It was awesome.
How many times have you watched it?
3.
3 times, okay, good. I've only watched it twice.
To be fair, I was like kind of asleep one of them though, so I don't know if that counts. I
was kind of asleep for the first one because I pulled all nighter. But yeah, Dune 2, amazing fucking movie.
Yeah.
Biggest movie of the 2020s already.
I mean, yeah, pretty certain. The box office doesn't lie, and I think it's evidence of it's kind of changing the way that we look at sci-fi. I think.
How much has it made so far? 500 mil?
Something like that.
Yeah.
4 days ago it was on 500 mil.
Yeah.
Yeah, which means it'll probably get to about like 700, 800 before it fades away. Which is massive in its own right.
And I think it's something that Villeneuve's been doing for like a long time, and this franchise has been the general public seeing that he's got that vision when it comes to sci-fi, which I think maybe only like serious film fans saw before.
Yeah, mama, I'm in Dune.
I'm in Dune, mama. Hey, mama.
Mama, the Baron wants to make me bald. He's gonna have me cooped up in some kind of desert. Use my charm to take over the Spice People.
Is Dune like so it's getting compared to Star Wars a lot now, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's glazing it. They're like,
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Anakin and Paul fucking Sigma edits, guys.
Yeah.
Who's the real Messiah? Who's the real Son Al-Gaib? Like, what the fuck is that, you know?
I don't get it, and I don't like it.
You said something funny to me when you first saw the Paul and Anakin edits. I think you said to Joel as well.
Yeah, I was just
you said, why are people comparing Paul and Anakin? Paul and Anakin?
I get it because they're meant to be like very similar characters, but the writing wise, they're just.
What were your exact words? Your exact words were, why are people comparing Paul and Anakin? Paul's good and Anakin's shit.
Yeah, he is. I'm being serious.
Pretty valid.
If you're talking about prequels Anakin, then yeah, it's fucking shit compared to.
He is kind of.
Dune.
It's a pretty minimal attempt at kind of. I mean, the third one it works pretty well just because it's like such a dynamic shift between the beginning and end of the film, but especially in the first two. There's just no root for it. There's no real reason why, like, you kind of, things just happen, they're like, oh, and that's why he's becoming evil, but you don't see it, so you don't see him kind of falling for the darkness, so I don't know.
Any problems with the prequels?
I feel like after watching Dune 2, you kind of see how much of Lucas Ray took from Dune as well.
Yeah, it's really changed my view on Star Wars, because after I watched Dune 2, I was like, oh wow, it's just the same thing, but better.
Yeah, I feel like it has. It's really like just highlighted all of the issues with the Star Wars films. Not necessarily the original trilogy. I mean, Herbert's always been like very vocal about saying that Lucas has stolen a lot from those books.
Yeah, he said he was going to sue him.
He did at one point.
He didn't sue him, though, did he?
No, not in
No, he dropped it.
He said he was though.
I think that's just because so much is taken from Dune. Like even Lord of the Rings being like a fantasy instead of a sci-fi, he still takes a lot from it. And I think it's just like evidenced how much worse the some of the Star Wars films are at storytelling. And I mean, just being able to have a blockbuster with a story that's like this good and this intense kind of changed a lot of like how you view those older films.
Yeah, because what they've done effectively is basically they've done one book in 2 movies, and in that first movie they did half of the book in that first movie. So they basically did all of Paul's first act throughout that film in a way more interesting and mainstream surface level way where you can actually be introduced to the characters and you care for the world and you're introduced to everything, so you can get right into the second movie and just watch mayhem get unleashed and actually know what's happening and know the characters and everything around it. Whereas I think like with the I'm going to talk about the prequels because like you said, I think the prequels take the most from Dune in my opinion. The original trilogy, we'll talk about the original trilogy a little later, but that takes bits and bats obviously, the whole Middle East thing and the whole desert and certain characters and such, but it's the prequels. And Lucas was inspired by the Bush administration at the time as well when making the prequels, and said George W. Bush was like a massive inspo. Yeah, I know, because he was like a charismatic politician who was like just saying random things to start conflicts in like the Middle East and such like that. And that's kind of similar to Herbert's reasoning for Dune, because Paul is meant to be.
When did he write Dune? Do you know off the top of your head?
So it was published in 1965.
65.
Yeah.
I don't know how long he was writing it though.
He said he was inspired by John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, I feel like it's very much. I feel like the Arkanins are very kind of Russian coded as well. That era.
Yeah,
just
I can
with the
see
whole
that.
family
And just
thing.
their names in general as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think
War.
the names like Vladimir.
Yeah.
I think that is meant to be like an obvious reference to that.
It is, yeah.
I don't know if he's necessarily saying that much about their politics, but it's very much like.
He probably is.
Yeah.
He probably is.
It's kind of it's the rival to that like John F. Kennedy era in there.
Yeah.
Because no one knows because Kennedy died, so no one knows where he would have gone. But maybe that's kind of the area that he's going into.
I read that he believes that people were basically like on their feet, like their hands down on the floor for John F. Kennedy because he was so charismatic.
Yeah.
And that kind of inspired right there and pissed him off a bit because like he's like these people just kind of brainwash and mind control everyone.
Yeah.
And the Middle East and religion was like an interesting setting for that for him because obviously people get really patriotic and really passionate and really religious for their religion and would fight for it and whatever. But so Lucas's prequels are just they're not as fleshed out as these two Dune movies that have come out yet.
I feel like they tell the same movie over three. They tell the same story over 3 movies with less detail.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just like a night and day difference.
Phantom Menace is all talk. And how much of that talk do you really pay attention to or care about?
Exactly. Like if I ever go back to that film, I only watch 2 sequences.
Yeah.
I watch the pod racing and I watch the end. All I watch. Which is like, I do respect elements of the prequels, but I'm never going to be out there saying like they're actually really good films. They're not. They've got serious issues. There are things about them that I appreciate.
Yeah.
But I feel like the fact that when I go back to them, I'm only watching the action scenes just kind of speaks for the fact that the actual plot isn't very interesting.
How weak the plot is,
Yeah.
Would you say the prequels are better than the sequels?
Good question.
I think the only reason I do say that is because I feel like the production behind the prequels, people actually cared about making them. Which I feel like with the sequels, it's just not there. The actors hate them, the directors hate them, so...
Okay, so you say the actors hate them, but doesn't the little kid and fucking Jar Jar Binks just want to kill themselves?
I mean, that's 2 actors.
Versus
your
talking about
entire
suicide.
cast,
Talking about suicide related to those movies.
I mean,
Last time I heard, I didn't remember Daisy Ridley saying she wanted to fucking kill us.
Doing DUIs and like getting drunk.
Yeah, I don't just because of the sequels.
I mean, that's
Jake Lloyd like videos are rough. Like throughout his entire life, he's
Jake Lloyd videos. Didn't Hayden Christensen start crying when people actually showed him love for once?
Yeah, he was getting emotional.
He got really emotional because he was like, oh fuck, people actually like me.
I feel like this is a fan base issue though. It's not necessarily. I mean,
you could say the same about like Daisy Ridley and the Rose actress, and like John Boyega a bit as well.
I think the actress who plays Rose has like very much the same issue. I feel like with John Boyega and Daisy Ridley and Oscar Isaac though, it's like they went into it being excited about it, and you can see the inspiration and the life like leave their eyes.
You can say the same about Jake Lloyd or the Jar Jar.
I mean, but they're only in one of those films, so I mean, Jar Jar's like got minor roles in the later ones.
Yeah, he's just a good
But I mean, they're trying to by that 3rd film in the sequels, they're trying to carry a franchise with 3 actors who don't want to be there.
And we're also missing out the biggest person that they want to be there for the prequels,
Yeah.
George Lucas himself.
Yeah,
He was
talking about
He
that.
was there for those films.
But he didn't want to be. He didn't want to be.
Boggles the mind. I mean, I've thought about this quite a bit, and the tricky part is you almost can't take any of those pieces out of there now, because each one kind of takes you to the next place, and you can't jump because you don't know where you are. But it is a very hard movie to follow, and at the same time, I've done it a little more extremely than I've ever done in the past. It's stylistically designed to be that way, and you can't undo that, but we can diminish the effects of it. We can slow it down a little bit so that if it's intense for us,
we don't know what
a regular person's going to go nuts.
He fucking changed his mind. I've been watching so many George Lucas interviews. I'll be playing them on screen. He was talking about how much of a big regret he has after finishing Phantom Menace. He's like, damn, I didn't really go overboard with this movie.
Disjointed.
Seems like a lot of short scenes.
It's bold in terms of jerking people around, but I may have gone too far in a few places.
Yeah.
Crap, we don't even fucking, really like this movie. We gotta change it up. We still have time to slow it down and stuff for the audience. Yeah. When he was like, get this over with, he's tired of it. And he said he retired from filmmaking in 2006. He returned to co-direct a movie called Red Tails in 2012. And I think he worked on an animated movie as well. Yeah. But he retired from directing right after Revenge of the Sith. He thought, that's it, that's done, I'm out. And then obviously he sold Star Wars to Disney because of how much the fans hated the series and how tired he was directing 3 movies.
It is a
the prequels died over.
The sequels, the prequels are the reason Disney have the fucking IP.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like the fan reaction to them is not good at all.
Joel Anderson gets roasted by a woke libtard with facts and logic.
Well, the thing is, I only really appreciate the third one, and I feel like it's unfortunate. I mean, that's fair, but I feel like I know what I like about it.
What do you like about
because I've already talked about the fact that when I go back to the earlier films, I'm only going there for those action sequences. The third one is just action sequence after action sequence, and they all look great. The pacing's great in the action sequences. The moments are cool. You get to see your characters doing cool shit. So that's kind of what I'm there for. I feel like he just found his flow with like what those films should have been, because if you wanted a franchise, they hint at the Clone Wars in the sequels, in the original trilogy, and people were like, we want to see that. That sounds fucking sick. Yeah. And that is the only one of those films where you properly see that. And I guess the end of 2, which again is kind of the only bit that I go back to in that one. Yeah.
What do you think of that, Manny? Because you had like a really confused and shocked face when he said he really likes the way those movies look and the way those movies move.
No, it's just the pacing. I think those action sequences go on for way too long.
I mean, when they're cool as shit though.
No,
I'm not complaining.
I think was the
kind of final
the final Anakin and Obi-Wan fight goes on for fucking forever. I get so bored and I don't care what's going on.
Do you feel like rope maxing after watching this?
Yeah, because it's just literally building to that whole point where the high ground. Like, okay, you could have done that 10 minutes ago.
But do you not feel like that's like the same thing that John Wick does though? It's just
John Wick's
action is really arcadey and rapid, and
it's actually interesting.
I mean, it does have that rapid effect though, and I mean proper choreography and everything.
I feel
which
like
is another issue with the sequence.
I feel like John Wick.
That's true.
In those fights, it's actually like you can see the characters actually trying to hurt each other.
There's stakes in that.
Yeah, there's stakes.
And I think it's complicated comparing it because you're immersed in the John Wick world because he does feel fatigue. He does feel hindered, and you're watching this wounded character go through the journey. Whereas with these movies, you do have scenes of side characters taking the spotlight, or you do have more political stuff in there, or you do have different characters giving their say, or our characters resting a bit. With John Wick, he's usually this guy doing this adventure and going through it, struggling until he reaches the end. So it's different narrative.
It is like a different narrative.
Yeah, different narrative in general.
For me, I enjoy fighting it. I enjoy watching those sequences just for the like craftsmanship behind it. Which is another thing I feel like is really missing from the sequels, because I feel like I'm never excited by the action in them, and I think it's probably fair to say that at least 7 is better paced than the prequels. Maybe not 3 for me, but definitely better than 1 and 2.
I think all the prequels are paced like shit. They are all paced terribly.
But I mean,
I agree.
I've tried to watch Revenge of the Sith 3 times and I cannot do it because they're paced so bad. Oh, it's so shame.
I feel that way about the sequels though. So it just kind of depends what you're there for, isn't it? Because I feel like the only thing.
How long are those prequels? I can't remember.
I think the first one's 2 hours 19, 2 hours 11.
Fucking
yeah.
The second one is about 2 hours 20, and the third one's about 2 hours.
I mean, they're indulgent, which comes from George Lucas being director.
I don't think they're that long though. Like they're pretty standard for blockbuster movies.
Yeah, okay.
It's just they feel like they're fucking 5 hours
They
long.
feel like they're 2 hour movies,
especially the first two.
Yeah, the first are just They're really
Because
great.
a lot of the things that people like about Attack of the Clones, there is some good stuff in that movie.
I feel
But
like
it feels like 5 minutes of a 500-minute movie.
for me, I've only just thought of this,
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I do like about those films is they had a legacy that has gone on to create so much good content, and that's the other thing that the sequels just don't have.
So that was one of my points as to why people like the prequels and don't like the sequels. I thought the prequels, and I've told you guys this privately before, they have a climax. They lead to something. So even though they start off shit, they lead to something where you're satisfied with, and then you can go off and watch the Clone Wars, or play the games, or watch the original trilogy, because it leads right into them, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's cool.
Whereas with the sequels, I think it starts off alright, and then it gets a little rocky,
Climax
and
is
then
big issue. I think yeah. So I think I think it's fair to say I don't know how you guys feel, but the other thing about it is like I want to learn more about the world of the prequels. You know, I like seeing the battles. I like seeing the
read the books, dude.
Yeah.
Read the comic
but
books.
I feel like you can even see it with kind of like the way they use different species and different planets in the sequels as well. They're the least interesting versions of those worlds.
They don't use any the
there's
species.
just nothing there.
The species aren't that important in the sequels at all.
Well, I feel they are important in the you've got
The prequels they exist,
Yeah.
I think a bunch of that may have to be George Lucas being kind of an out-of-date white guy, just doing stereotype stuff.
Why is it alright? Why do you think it's called socks?
Got to put socks on. Get me new shoes.
From when?
Anyway, it's fine, new pair of shoes.
How you been?
Fucking tired. Woke up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Stupid fucking job.
Yeah.
You're killing me.
Use your shoes.
Yeah, it's cost me then. And the shoes. Put all that shit in the front room. All that on the floor. Have a sniff of it if you want.
4-3.
Lock the door.
So I do think a lot of the species and expanding the species does come from Lucas. For example, Jar Jar's bringing as like a comedic side relief, and I will talk about the stereotypes and such. But I feel like he's someone. And this depends on watching his interviews and stuff and reading. And obviously he wrote the Indiana Jones movies and such.
Yeah.
He really likes wacky sidekicks and stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And minority characters and all that, just playing the stereotypes. And I don't think it's him being racist
Well,
per se.
it's just like ingrained there.
It's ingrained into the shit he used to watch as a kid and things.
But I feel like it creates for a more dynamic and interesting world.
What do you mean by that?
Well, that animal in Last Jedi when Luke drinks his milk. That's
that exists.
a cool species.
Animal.
That's
a different species.
That's my favorite Star Wars alien. A cow.
I feel like that's just been the Dune effect though. You're just looking back on that now and you're just like, it's just not here anymore.
It's just Dune is like more grounded and serious and political and I'd argue and say it's a little bit more edgy as well. It's more edgy, definitely actually. Where especially if you read the books or watch 1984 or whatever.
But it's still got that action.
I'm not dissing the edginess. Whereas the Star Wars movies are space operas made for kids and families.
Yeah, they are. They're very safe.
And that's not a bad thing.
It's the difference.
But you can't really take it seriously after.
There's a place for them, but it's just I think that's the right way to put it. You just can't take them seriously.
And my boy Film Bro Joe, who's read Dune, he gave me some notes about stuff that Star Wars obviously took from Dune.
Okay.
The Force is just a copy of Bene Gesserit powers, so the witches and such.
Yeah, you can definitely see that.
Yeah. Middle Eastern links. Mahdi means Messiah, obviously.
Yeah.
Fremen. Saudis and Middle East and stuff. Dune is an allegory for the Middle East that respects the culture and is about how they're manipulated by imperialism. Whereas Star Wars is super racist, he wrote. I think that's a very simplistic way of saying it.
Yeah, that's quite a strong comment. I can see elements.
I think Star Wars is racist in the way your boomer uncle is.
Yeah.
And I think Dune is racist in the way an atheist redditor is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about those Star Wars characters that Joel loves and was just defending a moment ago. What? He knows this was going.
Yeah, I'm voted by him.
Watto.
Yeah.
Remember Watto?
Yeah, I remember.
He's
Anti-Semitic caricature,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever been one to defend Watto. I don't feel much for him, but definitely some issues there.
You told me off script he's a big Watto fan.
He's a
Number one supporter.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the Neimoidians in Phantom Menace?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the East Asian stereotypes.
Oh.
The
Yeah.
stuff they do, and they're just based on like crappy, soap operas of the times, caricatures of East Asians. Jabba and his shisha pipe are one Moscat away from being my uncle.
I think it's an issue with them. It definitely is, but it's like I stand by the fact I think it does create like a more dynamic world.
And Jar Jar Binks exists.
Yeah,
He exists.
I mean just existing full stop. That's an issue.
But I have got a Dune parallel. Yeah. Saying this though, many people do consider Dune to be homophobic.
Whoa.
The Harkonnens, who are the most despicable villains in the book, are the only people that are attracted to same-sex people. They're the only people that are into that in the entire movie because
I think was it you were telling me? No, it might have been Patrick, but the relationship between Feyd-Rautha and
Baron is
and the
very
Baron.
incestuous.
Yeah, it's really incestuous in the book as well.
And in the book, Baron is a nonce, and they kind of insinuate it in the movie as well. In his little chamber, but they don't really talk about the whole gay stuff.
I mean, he's very
He's very. I mean, there's a
he's
scene.
not a nice guy.
He's not a nice guy.
Yeah, he's not a nice guy.
But the nonce stereotype was a massive thing homophobes would do to the LGBT community back then. As you could tell from the media they were in, compared to someone like James Bond, who was applauded for being misogynist and harassing people.
Side note, some of those films fucking unwatchable now.
Yeah, so you can't watch them. They're just dead, aren't they?
You're just watching them and I'm like, how was this ever allowed? Yeah.
Sean Connery overrated question mark? Yeah, it's a lot of philosophy getting into those movies. Just like our boy Herbert here, because Herbert in real life was a homophobe.
Was he?
Yeah, he was super anti-gay.
It's an issue with all of them. I mean, you look at Lord of the Rings and it's all a parody for. I mean, I
do think Peter Jackson can. I mean, Danny's also developed it and done it really cool. But
they've adapted it in a way that makes it palatable now and like kind of
modern.
Negates that issue a bit.
Yeah, but Frank Herbert was a homophobe. His son Bruce Herbert, he eventually came out and he was a gay man. And when he started working, he became an LGBT activist. And was also doing a lot of like LGBT photography and stuff. And his parents used to kind of threaten him about that. And he kind of had to distance himself away because Frank was being super like aggressive about his sexuality. And when Frank Herbert's wife passed away, Bruce's mother, Bruce showed up and went to the funeral. And Frank said, "You should never come here. You don't belong here." And
what the fuck?
What
the hell?
Yeah.
Hey, boomers, what can you do?
So R.I.P. Bruce Herbert, but the Harkonnens are homophobic caricatures, of LGBT people, and Frank Herbert, not a good guy. A lot of people also aren't really familiar with his politics. He was a Republican, but right now in the real world, Frank Herbert would probably be a centrist or libertarian.
Yeah.
A libertarian's what, like Joe Rogan and all those guys are. He'd probably be one of those. But he was a Republican. He wrote for a lot of Republican senators, so that is his politics. And that's why if you ever are questioning anything in Dune, or you think it's a little muddled up, it is because it is Frank Herbert's fan fiction, and a lot of it is kind of aged.
Puts his own politics.
Exactly,
in
it's his book, for God's sake. You're reading his book.
Aged as badly or well as you think it has, depending on your politics.
So to defend my boy George here, he's not the only one that's the stereotypes and such. Frank also has done it, and rightfully so should be called out as much as George is, even though Frank stated. I don't think George has ever hurt someone like that. Besides Jake Lloyd. At least Jar Jar returned. The actor returned in a cameo in Asuka, some crap. Which is also a shitty show.
Oh shit.
I don't know, I watched that shit. I hate Star Wars. I hate the fucking fans. I think Star Wars fans are the worst fans in the world. Like, you have to...
They're valid.
Yeah, valid. Very valid. Come on. You like the sequels, you like the prequels.
Hey, the only ones that... maybe Swifties are worse. That's going to be about it.
No, Swifties are not worse, bro. You guys send death threats to fucking children, dude.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Star Wars fans do not know what's a movie and what's real life. They will send death threats to Kathleen Kennedy. They will send death threats to their Lord and Savior now, George Lucas. Whoa. They'll send death threats to fucking the actor that plays fucking Jar Jar for playing a CGI character, for voicing a CGI character. They'll send death threats to a little kid.
I feel like
And
people in general are just insane.
And guess what? In order to be a Star Wars fan, you're either a big Star Wars. No, you're not. You have to be like, oh, I know it. Oh yeah, bro, you're a Star Wars fan. Yeah, well, how come you haven't read Goopsy Showdown Manifesto? I don't know about Goop Shiroka Kuka. He's my favorite character from Planet Poo Poo Uranus. Dune kind of did inspire a lot of the prequels, obviously, and a lot of that original trilogy. But another movie that inspired the original trilogy was Akira Kurosawa's work. The main one that inspired New Hope was Hidden Fortress.
I remembered Hidden Fortress, and I remembered the one thing that really struck me about Hidden Fortress, and I was really intrigued by, was the fact that the story was told from the two lowest characters. I decided that that would be a nice way to tell the Star Wars story, which is to take the two lowliest characters, as Kurosawa did, and tell the story from their point of view, which in the Star Wars case is the two droids. And that was the strongest influence, actually. The fact that there was a princess trying to get through enemy lines and everything, I think was more of a coincidence than anything else, because in my film the princess is more a stand and fight kind of princess. In the beginning I did have, in some of the first drafts, I had a little bit more of her and a Jedi, an older Jedi, trying to escape and that sort of thing, but then it evolved eventually into the story of Luke.
Which Manny will review for you right now.
It's alright. Good movie.
We gave him homework and he didn't watch it.
Well, Hidden Fortress is about a princess and a general who escape, and like they have to escape a rebellion, have to create resistance to get their royalty back, and they're with two goons.
I mean, two much less likable characters than Han Solo and Luke, but they're there, and you can see the similarities.
There is no Han Solo type character in that movie, is there?
No, I feel like there is, but they never meet Han Solo. He's there as like Luke's buddy from the very beginning. But I feel like the other thing with them is I feel like they're meant to be the audience surrogate characters.
Are you talking about the two comedic side releases?
Yeah, the two comedic.
They're like
side
R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Oh yeah, I guess technically they are.
I think even Josh.
So I think Luke's not even there.
Luke's not.
So I think
so the general. I watched an interview about this. Lucas did originally write like the general character.
Yeah.
In his script, and he's like, you know what, let's just scrap it.
But I feel like that's Obi-Wan, isn't it?
That's Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
That's Obi-Wan. And the Kenobi show.
So
The
I feel like
Kenobi show does that as well.
Yeah. So I feel like Luke and Han aren't even there.
Yeah.
But if you did want to make that comparison, yeah, I feel like you've just the R2-D2 and C-3PO characters are like they're different and they're nowhere near as like likable, which I think is one of the issues with the film for me.
I like them a lot more than R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, there's definitely more to their character, which I think
it's really interesting. So the movie's perspective, the lens that you're watching this through, is through those two comedic side characters.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting spin on the whole narrative thing. And I think it's really cool to watch them because they're really entertaining. And I feel like the most interesting part of that movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Character-wise.
There is some quite interesting stuff about them. I think my major issue with them is I still feel like you're really meant to like them, and they are some dodgy dudes.
I saw them as losers throughout the entire film, personally.
I feel like you're meant to like them, but there's like the first scene where they see the princess and they're like trying to convince each other to go and grab her. And go and do some very unpleasant shit. So I'm like,
so there is a lesson for him at the end of the movie, and it's like it's good to help the people that need help because you might get something in return.
Yeah.
And don't be greedy. But like throughout the entire movie, they are just terrible losers. Throughout, even till the end, they're losers.
I think even at the end, they abandon everyone, and then they just happen to run into them.
It's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Well, talk about the movie a bit in general then. What your review?
In general, so it's just I wanted to like it more, and I think the plot's good, and there's some cool stuff with like the gimmick of where they're hiding the gold and everything. Like there's some good writing in there. But I feel like, and I was just talking about this with you, so Kurosawa editing his films. I feel just leads to way too much overindulgence.
Yeah.
In the kind of way.
Too much of letting scenes kind of chew their scenery. By just
in the kind of way that Steven Spielberg talks about his editors, particularly in Jaws. He's like, she absolutely saved the film. She made the shark scary in a way that I don't think I could.
You can't get that if you're just directing your own stuff, I guess.
I feel like he has no limit for when he cuts.
Yeah,
and I feel like that leads to a lot of issues.
This is the first Kurosawa I watched in the Fortress. You know, I'm a noob. I feel like we gave it the same rating. We both gave it a 3.5 out of 5, and I think we're both rightfully so. I feel because again with you, I agree with the pacing of it. You know, I feel like for a lot of the movie, that first half, in my opinion, very slow. You know, a lot of just walking up mountains really slowly for 5 minutes and all that, and taking their time with it.
I feel like it's a difficult subject to discuss because instantly people are like, "Oh, you just don't get slow movies."
But no,
I like slow movies.
It's when you become too self-indulgent and waste most of your time.
But I feel like if you're gonna watch a character, you know, drink a cup of coffee, for example, you're gonna watch them drink an entire cup of coffee in uncut 7-minute sequence. You've got to learn a lot about that character. You know,
what's
how
the
are they
background
drinking?
around him?
What's the background? How are they reacting to other people in the cafe, etc., etc. I feel like with his sequences, there isn't any of that.
Robert Altman does that really well. If you watch any Altman movies,
I haven't.
I recommend the Long Goodbye.
Yeah.
A lot of his movies are chill out movies as well. But you really do learn a lot about the world that the character's in, and little, factoids about the character through how he interacts with people and things that he needs and such like that as well. And it's just, he makes really good drifter movies.
Yeah. And I feel like there's the other issue with.
This is the only Kurosawa I watched though, so I don't know if it's a good movie.
So I've watched another 2 on top of that, Rashomon, and then Throne of Blood, which I watched last night, which actually I disliked even more.
That's probably another episode.
Yeah. But I feel like it's a constant issue.
Like, I agree with you. I think the first half was very slow, but I thought the second half of the movie was great, in my opinion. Once they actually go out in the area and actually come up with the characters around them, and you get more moments of the princess kind of being more. So one of my cons of the movie was in that first half of the film, I didn't think the princess was a proper character.
Yeah.
She was just there for me.
She's kind of like a gimmick. She might as well be like a big necklace that they're carrying, you know.
But I do think her character is very important in the second half, and you get to see that she's kind of protected and locked in, and doesn't really get to reveal herself. You kind of see her kind of experiencing life in that fire festival, and getting kidnapped and all that. Like, she kind of sees it a little more, and she gets really excited by it, and she becomes more of a character in the movie, and that is probably intentional by Kurosawa. So that's really cool. I also love. So we were talking about the pacing a bit. Again, I agree with you. I think a lot of the time, he does just let things sink and kind of doesn't have anything going on. Gets engaged and hooked with the character. But there are times like combat scenes in that film. It could be end credit scene, It's not like that. It makes you feel for the characters.
I feel like what he does do really well is impact.
Impact, yes.
Like that definitely feel like when something happens that hasn't happened before. Like, I think there's only 2 major combat scenes in the entire film, aren't there?
Yeah.
And only one of those is like a one-on-one duel.
Yeah.
And the other one being their kind of escape scene at the end. But I feel like it just, it does lead to that impact, but I feel the balance just isn't quite there. I feel like the other thing that I found quite confusing when I watched his films was he definitely uses the camera in an interesting way.
Yeah.
I like how he kind of moves with the character, and there's certain sequences in the film where it goes from like a mid shot to a long to an over the shoulder, and there's a tracking shot. And I think that's really interesting. It shows like a very masterful use of the camera. But I feel like it's let down by his use of colour and contrast a lot, which I know is an issue with like the cameras he had at that time.
Yeah,
obviously in his later films he got access to better cameras.
Yeah, I don't really pin that down.
Yeah.
I guess I get what you mean, because a lot of people think his movies are the best cinematography ever. And therefore you are kind of nitpicking them because you have to pick
because I feel like when I watch those older films though, the visual interest just isn't there.
I thought the movie looked great personally. There were some standout shots for me.
Yeah, there is some standout shots, and I could see
the princess next to the waterfall, the water starts pouring down. So
I'm sure if he had those, beautiful kind of cameras that people like Sidney Lumet were using at the time, kind of in 12 Angry Men, he would be able to create something, that good.
It's different culture though, isn't it?
I feel like it's let down by the technology of the time, which just creates a bit of an issue with just the film not looking that interesting.
So George Lucas 1, Akira Kurosawa 0.
Yeah.
Manny, what are some of the issues you had with Hidden Fortress?
The entire movie was made. Made.
Is it better than the prequels though?
Yeah.
Valid.
Yeah. And speaking of samurai movies,
World's greatest transition here. We want to talk about Tom Cruise, so we're transitioning straight to The Last Samurai, in my opinion, kind of great samurai film. I think it's.
Of course you'd say that the white guy is the main character. No, I'm joking. No, I don't think it's mid. I think it's alright. I was expecting what you were going to say.
Yeah. I think it's got better in my head since I watched it as well.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. We've got Joel on this podcast. He's not going to be on every episode. I know the tripod, 3 legs. You probably think it means 3 hosts. Yeah. No, it means Manny, me, and my penis. That's the tripod. Joel's just a guest right now.
Yeah.
And he's watched a lot of Tom Cruise movies. How much have you watched, Joel?
So as guest, the most interesting thing about me is my slightly scary obsession with Tom Cruise. I've seen 42 out of his 44 films, including all of the really shit
What's that one movie called? Home and Away or something? What's the Australian one? Nicole Kidman.
Oh, the Australian one, Far and Away.
Far and Away. That's the name.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Amazing.
I've seen his first film. I've seen Endless Love, where he's in the film for a total of about 6 seconds, where he talks about burning his house down and then laughs hysterically. All the way to his kind of action sequences. Some of these early sequences are. Some of these early films are wild.
Shit.
Like they are so shit.
Watch Legend, the Ridley Scott one.
Oh, Legend is.
Yeah.
That might be one of my least favourites.
With the Tim Curry fucking devil suit.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that one. I feel like I've always enjoyed his part of any of these films. I think Cruise really is great. I feel like very underrated in the modern day. But it has led to me watching some proper crap. But for the grind, for the completionist, I'm there.
Have you noticed anything about the different eras?
I think you can see a big. I mean, you've watched quite a lot of his films as well, so I feel like you can very much see a kind of shift from kind of child teen stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say from teen heartthrob who doesn't know where he is right now to Academy actor, which means trying to go for those more critically acclaimed roles and trying to get that Oscar.
I feel like that Academy actor role is still kind of a heartthrob, but he can't do the teen heartthrob anymore.
There's a shift from Rain Man and Cherry Maguire era. I think Born on the 4th of July, did that come in 1990?
Yeah, 1990s.
It came out in the 90s, maybe 1999, I don't know, it came out a while later, but that's the movie that kind of shifted him a bit, I'd say.
Is that his, he got a nomination for that, didn't he?
He did get a nomination for that.
Has he got something for it, but he didn't Oscars.
Yeah. Did he get nominations for anything else so far?
Magnolia, I think.
Magnolia, surprised he didn't get one for Eyes Wide Shut, but
yeah.
I feel like that's very much the end of that era though, so maybe people were getting sick of his kind of like high drama Oscar nom roles by that point.
I've always said this, but I feel like moms love Tom Cruise because he was hot.
Yeah.
I would easily convert to Scientology for him. Whereas your more average middle-aged dad probably shot on Cruise back then.
Yeah, probably by that point we kind of weren't behind him
because he made those crappy little soft movies.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is Days of Thunder 2?
Yeah. You can see it though. Like my dad is very much like, he remembers watching Cruise as he was growing up. When he was in his 20s, Cruise was in his 20s. I think my dad's only 2 years younger than him. So when he was in his 20s, Cruise was doing those heartthrob roles in his 20s. So I feel like he's grown up with him as an actor, and I definitely see like the films that he hasn't seen from Cruise are that middle era, where I guess he was probably getting a bit sick of
the Prestige era or the action star?
The Prestige era.
That makes sense. Prestige era is where a lot of dads got sick of.
Yeah, and then when the action era starts again, and obviously like by the time he got firmly into that, I was kind of 7 or 8, so I was going to watch those films as well.
Yeah.
So
Collateral kind of kickstarted the action era.
Didn't watch that one as a child. My parents were good. They didn't let me watch like fucking 18s where people die all the time. No, but
My mum let me watch Eyes Wide Shut at 10 years old.
I didn't watch that till I was 19.
Which
so only
is what you should,
yeah.
I watched it at 10 years old one day on the TV on Christmas.
Hey, fire Christmas film, one for the family.
It is,
His transition into action star is really interesting, I think.
Did it just happen naturally?
It did, I guess, because of MI and Collateral. It kind of just... He fit in really well, I think.
What happened after Collateral? Do you guys remember the movie that came after? It was a Mission Impossible series as
Mission
well.
Impossible 3.
So Brian De Palma's Mission Impossible is like a noir, you know, it's a noir espionage De Palma
Good
film.
Good film.
Heavily inspired by the TV show. Very nice, very cool, and very unique. The second movie, that is an action movie.
We don't talk about the second
But that is, the second movie is a mass movie.
Yeah.
That is mad.
It's a mass movie.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And it's directed by John Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's super mass. And it's like Patan or
I feel like
Jawan.
J.J. Abrams really defined that franchise.
He did.
though.
J.J. gets a lot of slack, you know?
Yeah, he does get a lot of slack. I give him a lot of slack.
Rightfully so. You know, you can't finish a movie to save his life. But he doesn't know how to kickstart franchises. You know, if you want a safe person to kickstart franchises, you get that hack to.
And I feel like it's there. 3 is the blueprint for all of those later films.
Yeah.
I think the later films are better, but 3 is that.
3
It does have one of the best villains of the franchise.
Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman is amazing.
Of
Well,
course.
that third movie.
Strong words.
That third movie. Yeah, that's strong words. That third movie is underrated and overhated.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
people
I think
forget
it's
it.
great, man. It's
People
awesome.
forget Alice.
I'm
It's
saying
underrated
that's
and
like a
overrated.
4.5 minimum.
Yeah.
It's really good.
People make a quick joke about it, or they'll just skip it.
Yeah.
It's like that movie started what you love now and goes Protocol
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Fallout. Like,
You can definitely see it in that one.
yeah.
I feel like another interesting element of it though is kind of how quickly everyone forgot who Tom Cruise was before after he started doing the action films.
Yeah.
I think it's the most bizarre thing.
I'd say when people forgot, I'm gonna pinpoint the exact year they forgot, and I'm gonna go out and say it was 2008.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
That feels like the year where people forgot Tom Cruise's stoop, Jerry Maguire, and I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I have
on the 4th of July.
I have conversations with people sometimes and they're like, oh, why do you like Tom Cruise so much? He's just an action star.
But like,
One, just an action star. He does all of his own stunts. Dude is willing to kill himself for a film, which is serious. I respect.
He has attempted it 4 times.
Yeah.
On Mission Impossible movies alone. Yeah.
And I mean, point 2. They've never watched any of his earlier work.
Yeah,
It's
so they
completely
don't-
like anyone that's not like a big cinema fan has just forgotten that he ever did anything that wasn't action films. Which I think is kind of sad.
It is sad because he
did
did
a
so
lot
much
of
stuff.
really
bro.
good films.
You want a Michael Mann coming of age movie? Watch Risky Business. You know, you want an awesome Wolf of Wall Street movie for you Sigma bros that are also a little gay. Watch Jerry Maguire. Great movie, good movie. You should watch.
I feel like they
watch Collateral, epic action movie.
I mean, they all hold up. You
Yeah,
know?
they do.
And even some of the sillier ones. I watched Cocktail when I was watching all of them, going into it thinking, oh, this will be proper shit. Cocktail still had its moments.
Cocktail's vulgar return. It's a cult classic now.
Yeah, I still think it had some really, really good moments in the kind of way that
Cocktail was over.
a lot of modern films of that kind of.
Days of
genre
Thunder is getting cult classic.
Yeah, I'm not huge.
You guys aren't
on that
massive
one,
Days of
but
Thunder.
I like Days of Thunder.
Sorry, Days of Thunder based.
I think it's okay.
We'll talk about that later because that's coming up soon. But yeah, that's again, it's called classic things. A lot of Tom Cruise movies now from the 90s are, probably some of his Nicole Kidman stuff. I don't know, not that movie that you mentioned. I can't remember.
Oh no, far and away. That's another one where I went into it thinking it was going to be proper shit. I mean, it's a 3-hour drama.
Yeah, I don't know how you
like historical drama. But actually, when I watched it, it's kind of. I watched it before I kind of saw. So I watched that, and then probably about a year later, I watched Gone with the Wind. And I feel like it has a lot of that kind of Gone with the Wind, and I feel like it does work. And I really enjoyed my watch of that, which I really wasn't expecting to. I was 100% went into it thinking I'm just going to watch this so I can add to the list of Cruise films that I have seen. But no, at that one I will stand by. I did really like it. So
yeah.
And it's such a variety. I mean, historical dramas, coming of age films, romances. I mean, we haven't even mentioned things like Vanilla Sky.
Yeah, Vanilla Sky.
Again.
That was the 2000 Magnolia, Vanilla Sky, and Collateral.
Magnolia,
yeah, with the 3 defining was the 2000. 99 to like 2002, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's his own little block.
That is its own block. It's experimental commercial film. I feel like they are big blockbuster movies that people would watch.
Tons of stars in them.
Yeah, but they're also kind of experimental.
Yeah,
you know.
It's kind of that best era for auteurs actually getting the money they deserve because everyone was watching their films anyway.
Yeah, it's that time where you could just you could have a blank check any moment. And then, yeah, like I said, I signified 2008 as the year kind of changed because we got Mission Impossible 3 came out before that a bit. Valkyrie was coming out, which is like a period drama movie. Have you heard of that? But it's also
Did not like Valkyrie.
It's also got like the advertising of an action film, so a lot of people just kind of stereotype it as that. The Nazi movie, yeah. They show it in history class all the time. It's mid, but with Bryan Singer, amazing director, that guy. Yeah. We love you, Brian. Love you, Rhapsody.
Oh god, don't get me started. But I feel like
and Jack Reacher came out in 2010.
Jack Reacher, of course. I feel like that was very big in defining what he was doing.
That defined him because Mission Impossible. Everybody watched Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah.
And the third one was a serious action movie. Second one was a mass movie. First one was a noir thriller. That when Jack Reacher came out, and Mission Impossible 3 came out, and I think he did Night and Day, which was a rom-com action movie.
Yeah.
But unlike his other
Night and Day is still pretty good as well.
Unlike his other rom-com stuff, that had a lot of action in it. Whereas his previous stuff from the 90s and early 2000s that were like romantic, they were like dramas. You know, they had a dramedy aesthetic, they had a rom-com aesthetic. Whereas Night and Day was a romantic action movie.
I feel like it's just evidence of him getting to do what he wants to do in that era. Because I mean, even Night and Day, which I don't think is a brilliant film, but it still has like. I mean, there's a sequence where
Bang Bang is better.
What movie did India remake?
Bang
Can you give us your review of Bang Bang?
Bang Bang is awesome.
Who does it star?
Hrithik Roshan and Katrina Kaif.
Who the fuck is Hrithik Roshan for? I don't know.
He's a Greek god of Bollywood.
I think the other big thing about Cruise that I guess everyone's kind of got an opinion on is him being kind of the last action star.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost the last movie star.
He's not Hrithik Roshan, Greek god of Bollywood. He's not Salman Khan.
Yeah.
Salman Khan, god of Bollywood.
It kind of is that final era, but I think what's been really
For
interesting.
American movies, yeah.
Yeah. What's been really interesting in 2023 though is I feel like we have got a bit of a return to some actors getting that prestige. I mean, I feel like Robbie got it this year with Barbie. I feel like that really cemented her as like a big powerhouse that people are going to be going to see movies for her.
Yes.
Like Timothée Chalamet, like kind of.
I think Timothée Chalamet is a new star.
I mean,
He's
like
gonna be the
he's
next
had
He
about-
is. He made Wonka a big hit. Sure, it's got IP behind it,
Yeah.
but Wonka was kind of getting roasted before it came out.
I mean, he's
because
what, like
they didn't get legs.
six big films in the last few years.
Dune,
And, like,
you know, he's the face of a
yeah,
sci-fi franchise.
I mean, Dune and Wonka for like big things, but then he's still doing, you know, Bones and All, which was like an incredible project. That is that kind of same kind of Cruise doing films and working with filmmakers that he thinks are good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already got that back catalogue, which I mean, controversial, but like films with Woody Allen, which I mean, very prestigious, even if people won't really talk about them anymore.
One of his favourite directors.
I've never actually seen a film by him. But I mean,
you only like the person, not the film.
They cut that. But
Yeah, TV, you go to see Beautiful Boy with the Steve Carell.
no, I haven't actually.
Rip off Medicinman.
Rip off with this one.
That one's
Nice performance, yeah, the performance is kind of.
Yeah.
It's a very performance-heavy movie.
It is a very
It feels like a play.
And he's also
It is very good.
and he's also got that kind of, you know, we say that comedy actors are quite often like the best drama actors as well. He's got that.
He's
as
comedic,
well.
yeah.
He's got that. I mean, Sanda's a bad example just because he's done so much of the comedy side of it.
Lady
it really
Bird-
unbalances
in
his talent.
Lady Bird, he was very funny.
Yeah.
Like a dumb, college bro.
But he's got that range. You know, he can be really, really funny.
Even in Don't Look
And
Up,
he can
he's
be-
kind of funny with his cringe humor. But that
I
movie-
haven't seen that one either.
But that movie in general is but like he's alright in it.
So no, can you guys think of anyone else that's kind of in that kind
Glenn
of?
Powell's kind of turning into it slowly. But it might be Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney's kind of carrying over by you.
Sydney Sweeney's definitely. I feel like.
Sydney Sweeney's a star.
Yeah.
I think all the Euphoria people have the potential to be stars. Zendaya's a star.
Zendaya, of course.
Zendaya's a star. Yeah.
Jacob Elordi.
Jacob Elordi could be. It depends.
Could be.
So
He
this is
needs
the
to-
thing. This is the same as Robert Pattinson for me. I feel like they need to do a big blockbuster they carry. Batman doesn't count in it because Batman is such a big name.
Yeah.
No matter what, anybody can fucking, my dad can be Batman and he'll make 500 mil.
So I mean, okay, question there, guys.
If Mickey 17 makes like 500 mil,
So what films, what projects are making these people big stars? Do you think? If you were going to suggest to someone, a new up and coming actor who wants to be that kind of Cruise level name, what are you suggesting to them?
So this might seem weird. I like this movie. I think Joel does as well. Manny hasn't watched it. it's got a lot of controversy because the fans are very annoying, and it's just everyone's a fan of something. They always talk about on TikTok and all that and Twitter. Saltburn.
Yeah.
A movie like Saltburn, that's controversial.
Yeah.
Look at it. I watched Saltburn at the Light Cinema in wonderful Bradford that we all go to, and I watched it with a couple and 3 elderly ladies who were all in their 70s.
Yeah.
I was saying, it was there, one was there. I was watching the movie, I was just saying, Barry Keoghan was doing all this weird stuff.
Of course, yeah, we haven't even mentioned like Keoghan yet.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned him yet, but I think he needs to be a lead in another movie first.
I don't know, yeah. I feel like the downfall of the Marvel style blockbuster this year is causing a resurgence.
It is of the Star.
It is causing a resurgence in the Star, which I think is really interesting.
It's really good, yeah, and it's really interesting seeing who's going to become a star. I was watching it with these old 3 old ladies, and they were all looking disgusted, and they walked away and talked about shit the movie is. And this movie was like, I think it flopped, right? Like, it didn't do as much financially.
Saltburn didn't do brilliantly in theatres, but then as soon as it went on Prime,
that's what I was going to say. When it flopped, I thought that's it for Saltburn, you know?
Yeah.
A movie with mixed reviews that I enjoyed, that's going to become a cult classic or something, like Babylon or something shit like that. And it has got the fan base of that, I guess. Except, 4 months later, it released on Prime on Christmas or some crap.
Yeah.
And everybody in their moments was
talking about it. Yeah.
Everybody's talking about it. It's March now, you know, it's April.
And it's made both of those guys really big names.
It's made them really big names. So yeah, next up, we're into the end of our show, the conclusion. And we got some questions submitted by you guys. You can submit your questions randomly in my DMs, or you can pop up, or whenever I do it on my story on Instagram at Adil Does Movies. And you can find this guy at Joel Film and TV. And this
you can find me nowhere.
Exactly. You can find him on the Adil Does Movies YouTube channel, which you're watching right now.
Yeah.
And here are some questions submitted by followers. So, first question I got from Corey was, Christopher Nolan is an overrated director.
Ooh. I think he's perfectly rated.
Strong disagree. Perfectly rated.
Yeah.
You guys think he's perfectly rated?
Yeah.
How come?
He's got that prestige.
I think his movies they just speak for themselves. I mean, I
Yeah, it's prestige.
Yeah, the prestige. But I think
I think maybe it is.
Christian and Doom 3.
I feel like every time it gets to the point where people are like, oh no, he's getting a bit overrated, isn't he? He releases another film that's fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, people are calling him overrated in 2013 after Dark Knight Rises didn't do great. And they releases Interstellar, and then he gets to Tenet, and people are like, oh, maybe he's not that good. They releases Oppenheimer, so it's just like...
I think he is overrated.
You think he is overrated?
Really?
I think he's overrated, guys.
Okay.
You know why? Because he's one of the only directors that you associate a movie with. You know, you're like, oh, a Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
You know, one of the only ones that everybody does that with.
Yeah.
And all anybody used to talk about before Oppenheimer, you know, which a bunch of people don't really have good media literacy skills and still are dissing Oppenheimer for their own reasons, was, wow, his twists are so confusing. It's so bizarre. Inception, I watched that 5 times, I still don't understand it. When he fucking explains it to you multiple times in the movie through the expositional dialogue. Like, he explains it to the audience, he doesn't say with Tenet, you know?
Yeah.
But like, people are always like, we're so confused, that's why he's such a genius.
Yeah.
When it's like...
That's a fair take.
He used to make a lot of gimmicky movies, you know, kind of similar to M. Night Shyamalan, but with a different style, you know, a different writing style. And, you know, everybody just ate it up, and now he's become one of the biggest directors ever. And he has made some good movies, you know, Memento's great, Oppenheimer's great, Interstellar is great.
Dark Knight Rises is great, very underrated. I love that film. This is not a bit. I adore The Dark Knight Rises, 100%.
The Dark Knight.
He does propaganda.
I love it.
I think all 3 of those movies are overrated. I think they're knockoff Michael Mann movies. But yeah,
You can see the influence.
it's Dark Knight's still a great movie.
Yeah, what have we got next?
Revenge of the Sith went from being one of the most underrated films to overrated from Jeff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Elaborate,
True.
guys.
Yeah.
Even though I do love that film, it's been 2 times now. Like, I like it. I love that film knowing that it's not really that great of a film.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like a lot of people really like it's the greatest thing ever made.
I don't think Revenge of the Sith was ever underrated. Because it made a shitload of money.
Although, to be fair, you're saying that, but, you know, when I was growing up in an era where everyone was saying the prequels were shit, that was never the one that people were shitting
People
on,
used to like Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I also grew up around the prequels. I grew up on Clone Wars on Cartoon Network. And I watched those prequel
Love
movies.
that shit.
And Revenge of the Sith was super loved, and mainly because of all the Anakin and Obi-Wan stuff, you know? And that's one of the reasons, I think you can argue Attack of the Clones was underrated. I might become overrated one day. I don't like that movie, I think it's shit. But you can't argue that, you know? Because that movie, nobody really talks about it like that, unless you're a big Star Wars fan. Revenge of the Sith was always overrated, because it was the most critically acclaimed one out of the 3. and it made the most money, and everybody always has nostalgia fondness for all the big scenes in that film. Always overrated. Okay, Across the Spider-Verse felt like a prologue instead of an actual film. Like they halted a movie in between. From Cinema Wiz, I agree.
I agree.
Do you disagree?
I really like it, and I've watched it 3 times now, and I thought it was brilliant all 3 times. So I can see why. I mean, you guys definitely had a more negative opinion than me at cinema as well, and I can see why people were saying that. But I think it's got that Dune 1 thing. It's got that Dune Part 1 thing. Yeah. Where some people are going to be like, it just feels like
it's a sequel.
Just feels like a good
I think
doing like a Part 1. And it's
in a sequel, that.
And I they were going to do a Mission Impossible though. Maybe that's why they changed the marketing though, because Across the Spider-Verse.
But Dead Reckoning feels like its own movie.
Dead Reckoning feels like it, yeah.
In Dune you have a full arc. You're like, ooh, I wonder where Paul and these people are going to go. But you know everything about Paul Atreides, you know? You know everything about
I feel like I felt like that at the end of Across the Spider-Verse though. I think it's just a personal preference thing.
Yeah, I thought it kind of owes its welcome again. I was like, you should have cut it a little earlier and stuff.
I do think it should have cut it well, If it had a cut at like the moment he gets back, I think that would have been cooler. And then it would have been really cool to have like, because that's already like a big twist, you know. He gets away and he is about to ruin the multiverse or whatever, and then you start the new film with this massive twist. I feel like that would have been a better way to cut it,
Yeah, so I agree. And from avid Bond fan, BVS is a far more interesting film than The Batman. I agree.
Strong disagree.
I agree.
It's not. I think The Batman is a better movie.
But as in terms of
interest
and
as in all things going on, I think BVS is a more interesting movie to tackle and unfold.
It's something to discuss more.
So The Batman is my favorite Batman movie of all time. You know, it's up there with Mask of the Phantasm, Batman Returns, and Batman 66 for me. I think The Batman is top tier. And the main reason that is because it adapts a lot of my favorite stories, like all the Miller era, Year One. It adapts some of loads.
I really want them to do a proper like Long Halloween.
Yes,
thing
I do too.
Well.
And I believe that Reeves can do that justice because he's done such justice on the source material that he has adapted already.
And he's willing to do those small stories.
And he's created that world, and that Gotham in that universe is really good. But and I'm really interested.
I feel like for me though, the only reason I have more to say about BVS is because I don't like it.
Exactly, it's more interesting.
Yeah, I guess that does lead to more interesting conversations.
This is where I was gonna go. The Batman is a really faithful adaptation, but it's not really.
There's nothing to talk about.
It's just a good.
Everyone thinks it's good.
And like, it's such a straightforward like adaptation of the character that I'm like. It's so straight on,
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think it's a very simplistic movie as well, in a way, because it is very simple, And Robert Pattinson's Batman is very naive and simple and dumb a little. Whereas like BVS, it's like you got so much shit to talk about and tackle.
I mean, you can talk about how successful it was, but I guess there is like a lot that it was trying to do.
That's
even if it's like
it's Batman, because it was like it's not Batman anymore.
Yeah.
You just got off it.
Yeah.
And then he realizes by the movie that he has. And that's the whole point. It's sick.
Yeah. Why would you ever go and watch Mean Streets when Scorsese has so many other better films? From Joel.
This was me, I watched Mean Streets. I just did not like it. And having watched, I think Mean Street, I was watching like, I'd gone from having seen like 3 Scorsese films to having seen like 12. I'd watched all of these like mega prestigious ones. Mean Streets was the final one I watched. I watched it and I was like, why would I ever watch this again? I'd just go and watch Goodfellas. And so I stand by it, but...
I agree with him.
Yeah.
It's so boring.
I just
so
have you seen Mean Streets?
Yeah.
It's boring, isn't it? Yeah. You can see a lot of...
I thought that was, at the beginning, that was a gasp of disagreement, but no.
No.
So we all agree with Joel here? Yeah, Mean Streets is overrated, dude.
I think it's got its moments.
And it's definitely influenced a lot of movies.
Yeah.
It's influenced the Safdie's filmography.
Yeah.
Because like movies like After Hours and such. But like,
and I just don't know why you go back to it.
Just watch some of his other movies, man. I think
I've seen it once. I don't need to watch it again.
I do, yeah. Okay, and now onto our final segment. Buy it on Blu-ray, watch it once, throw it in the trash. It's like F, Marry, Kill, but instead of it being 3 people, it's 3 movies. And 3 movies we have for today are Pathan, Days of Thunder, and Attack of the Clones.
Oh.
Okay, so what were the things again?
It was buy it on Blu-ray, watch it once, throw it in the trash.
You go first.
Okay, so...
Pathan, Days of Thunder, and Attack of the Clones. Which one would you buy it on Blu-ray?
It's either between Pathan or Days of Thunder. I'm bidding fucking Attack of the Clones. So I'll probably just watch. Yeah, I'll probably buy Days of Thunder on Blu-ray. Watch the other ones.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, Joel?
This is difficult for me because I don't really like any of these films.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of like one that I would actually watch again, I think I probably would go with Days of Thunder. Although I think I own that and Attack of the Clones on Blu-ray. In terms of that, I would probably then bin Patan and watch Attack of the Clones once.
Why did you agree with that?
That is a hard disagree.
Yeah.
Why?
Because the Tiger's entry it solos the entire prequels.
Why is your reasoning for Attack of the Clones?
I don't like it, it's shit.
No, I'm talking to him. Why is
Oh,
your reasoning for
sorry.
Attack of the Clones over Patan?
I feel like I've got more of a connection to Attack of the Clones as well. Even if I don't think it's a good film, there's something that I connect to. Patan, I really just like, it was fine.
That's
But
better.
I've just got
Patana's better, actually.
nothing. I've got nothing.
So the
connected
reason
it.
to watch Attack of the Clones once, or was it Days of Thunder once?
Attack of the Clones once.
The reason to watch that once because you have more nostalgia towards it.
Yeah. Whereas Patan I just watched and thought was fine. So
But Patan is a better movie.
yeah, it probably is.
And if you're like an average person,
Probably is. But if we're talking a theoretical way that I'd have to
Where
not
you-
ever
where you-
watch one of these films,
you'd
I would
not
rather
Patan,
not
right?
watch Patan.
So you can never
than
watch.
Attack
You
of
can
the
never.
Clones.
When Manny's in college with you, you can never watch Salu's entrance.
No.
Never
I don't think we've ever actually watched it in college. But
I think it's fucking easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
what are you going for?
Buy on Blu-ray Days of Thunder, easy. Always went to buy on Blu-ray real life actually.
Yeah.
Good movie, really fun. Tony Scott, oof. Go hard, King. Go off, King. Go off.
Yeah.
Better than Top Gun that and Top Gun Maverick.
Whoa.
Oh, bloody, that is the.
Watch it once. I'm going with Patan.
Whoa.
Patan.
That's fair.
Do the Patan. They go Patan. They go. The fucking soundtrack alone is better than fucking Attack of the Ship.
Yeah.
And throw it in the trash. It's so obvious. It's where it belongs. It's where many kids and old people alike threw it. All those years ago in 2002, Attack of the Clones, piece of shit movie.
It is a crap film. I feel like for me, they're picking from the bottom of the barrel. Film Brojo did us dirty there. It's not one film that I actually like out of those.
That's why you did it. That's why you did it because it follows us on Letterboxd. And you can follow us on Letterboxd as well. Letterboxd @AdilTreview.
Joel Anderson, but it's linked to my Joel Film and TV Instagram bio.
Mine's like Spidey underscore some shit.
It's fine, you can discuss some shit.
We'll link it below.
We'll be right back.
Could be right.
Yeah.